I'm just going to make a brief statement on behalf of Blake Lively. My name is Sigrid McCawley, and I represent Blake Lively. What you saw today is really what this case is about. The core of this case is about a woman trying to protect herself and others in the workplace. There's been mountains of evidence that have come out this week that have been unsealed. And what that evidence shows very clearly is that Blake was not alone. There were multiple women who raised concerns in this workplace. What that evidence shows is that Mr. Baldoni felt free to talk about having orgasms in the workplace. He felt free to talk about having sex with women without their consent. He felt free to talk about and describe his genitalia. He felt free to call women in the workplace, quote, sexy or quote, hot. And Mr. Heath felt free to walk into Blake Lively's trailer when she was in a state of undress and stare at her without her permission. There are mountains of evidence that prove Blake Lively's claim, and that's what we saw today in this courtroom. We saw that evidence come to fruition and be talked about by the court. Blake Lively should be an example for all of our daughters to follow. She stood up for herself in the workplace, as we would hope that our daughters would do as well. The Baldoni and Wayfarer parties acted absolutely inappropriate in this circumstance to both Blake and the other women on this set. They deserve justice and they deserve accountability. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do you think you're going to settle? Are you guys going to go to trial?
This case is really larger than just the claims at issue. It's really about women being able to stand up for themselves in the workplace when they're feeling sexually harassed and exposed to a hostile work environment. So it is not a case that it is a situation where it can be easily resolved.
So there's a settlement conference tomorrow.
There's a mandatory settlement conference by the court, correct? And that's very common in all cases of federal court.
And then the next court date, February 11th, is that right?
I believe that's correct. And then the case is set for trial May 18th.
During the hearing, Baldoni's lawyers called the allegations small potatoes and trivial. What do you have to say to that?
Baldoni's lawyers calling the allegations small potatoes or trivial smacks of exactly how they behaved in this context. This shows that they did not take seriously the actions and how they were behaving in the workplace. And that's exactly why this case is so important. This case is about women feeling comfortable in the workplace and being able to perform their job without being retaliated against. As you heard in court today, when Blake Lively raised those concerns, what happened to her? They embarked on a massive digital retaliation campaign, in their own words, to quote, bury her. That's unacceptable. It's not allowed under our law, and that's what the laws are here to protect.
How does Blake feel about having all of her private texts to friends like Taylor Swift laid out in public? I mean, that's not comfortable for anyone.
Blake has worked very hard to protect her friends, the acquaintances she had along the way. This case is not about those individuals. This case is about her performing her job in the workplace and being subject to sexual harassment. That's it. That's what this case is about.
Does the client want this to go to trial, or is she willing to look at settlement options?
Blake Lively wants this to go to trial. She really is in a position where she's got mountains of strong evidence. She feels very good about her claims, and she wants to send a message for all women that if you are wronged and harmed in the workplace, you can stand up for yourself. You can say that this is not right and should not continue.
Heath going into the trailer, they seem to say that she didn't include it in the list of complaints that she initially made, and that she said, you weren't copying a look. Is that true, or is that not the case?
That's not what the evidence will show. The evidence will show, and there's multiple witnesses that were there, that he came into that trailer, and this is in the unsealed evidence that's available now, that he came into that trailer after she and other witnesses protested and tried to get him out of the trailer, and still continued to look at her when she was in a state of undress.
Will Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift give evidence in support of Ms. Lively when this goes to trial?
The evidence at trial will be the witnesses that are on the witness list. Right now, they are not expected to be called. The case is really about Blake Lively's testimony about what happened to her, and she is ready to go to trial and ready to give that evidence.
How is she feeling about telling her story?
And is she upset that some of her friends, like Taylor Swift, are being drawn into this? And
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of that question.
Is she upset that people like Taylor Swift are being drawn into it and the effect it has on her relationship with her friends?
Certainly, Blake Lively has done everything she can to protect her friends from not being brought into this. It was the Baldoni parties who brought that evidence into this case. It's not relevant. What's relevant is her claims that she was sexually harassed in the workplace and the witnesses that were there to see that.
So you're clarifying that Ms. Swift and Mr. Reynolds, as things stand, are not scheduled to give evidence. It's going to be, actors who were on the film and Ms. Lively. Is that right?
I mean, my understanding is that the witnesses, they're still deciding on which witnesses will be at trial, but really the key witness at this trial will be Blake Lively herself talking about what happened to her in the workplace.
How is she feeling about going into telling her story, testifying? Is she nervous at all?
You can imagine that bringing a case like this is very difficult for anybody. She's been incredibly brave. She's stood up for herself and the other women on this set. She's done everything she could to protect them. And I think that that's part of litigation. It can be very difficult, particularly when you're being retaliated against by your former employees in such a disgraceful way and such a destructive way, where they embarked on this massive campaign to literally do everything they could to create false narratives to destroy her reputation.
Thank you.
Many cases like this settle. Is there much chance of that here, or do you see this going to trial?
This case is really about so much more. It's really about women standing up for themselves in the workplace, and I think that that's why the claims are so important, and I think that's why we're going to see it going to trial. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time today.
How soon
Thank
could
you.
it go to trial in your opinion?
It's scheduled for May 18th.
May.